service that significantly impacts the lives of those who commit, and you're looking to get more clients, increase sales, and grow your business with your next course. Now you're ready to hire a production crew so you can have super high quality content made and put it out there on social media and your website. But this is where the problem starts. Your new video producer is your cousin's high school buddy's nephew who edits. You reach out and you get crickets. So now you have to ask your busy staff to push record for you. You review the content and the sound or lighting is terrible, and that makes you look terrible.
Oh no!
Or worse, your cousin's high school buddy's nephew does call, takes over the entire vision of the content's look and tone. Now, not only are you behind schedule for releasing your ideal content, on top of that, you've still failed to put out new content before your competitor did. This is where we come in. We provide turnkey content creation. Our professional, studio, and skilled personnel make the process painless, easy, and quick. Even better, we deliver your creative vision with quality and speed so that you can start using it immediately. This allows you to see a return on investment and level up that much faster. So if you're ready to collaborate to complete your next course's content faster and level up on schedule, then use Velasquez Media as your content creation momentum. At Velasquez Media, we don't sell videos, we don't sell content creation. We sell content creation momentum by delivering your creative vision in a way that gets you your desired results faster. Book a free discovery session today. Key Piqued Interest, KPI, Entrepreneurial, Insight, LGBTQ editions. Today's guest,
Christa, Donofio, Christy LaMountain of Beertooth Taproom. Welcome to the Key Piqued Interest, KPI, Entrepreneurial Insights, LGBTQ edition. We're here with Christa Donofio and Christy LaMountain of CNC Endeavors, LLC. Hey, y'all. Hey. I found out about you guys by just looking up, folks that are doing business in the area and that are LGBTQ. Mm-hmm. We wanted to do this and talk to entrepreneurs that are doing business together. Mm-hmm. And I realized that everybody has a different sort of way it looks, right? Mm-hmm. So how did you guys start working together?
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
Well,
it's your brainchild.
Well, more interestingly, we worked together before the tap room, we worked together in the pharmaceutical industry.
And you met at
the day job.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I got out of the pharmaceutical industry. It just did not suit me very well. And as my interest and passion for beer grew, I found that the two of us could probably make a company and actually provide a service instead of just serving beer, be able to talk to people intelligently about beer and help them order beers when they go out elsewhere. And, without her support, this would not happen.
Oh, absolutely. Man, you guys, okay, so you're working together at your day jobs, and then you decide you're going to start this side hustle, new endeavor. Like, how does that conversation even get started?
So Christa was working at another tap room. She was managing it. And she mentioned,
Queen Bee syndrome all the way.
Yeah.
Ooh, I could do this.
And so when she was ready to leave there, she mentioned, she's like, maybe I should open a tap room. And I was like, that would be okay. I'm like,
sounds interesting. Sounds like fun.
I was like, kind of hesitant. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so what do you think? And so we kind of talked about it and brainstormed what it would be, but
how long did that process go on?
A couple months until we actually took the leap, and we were walking through the space and found the phone number, and we're like, I was looking at a spot elsewhere in the shopping center, but it turned out to be way too big for what we needed. And so we said, hey, we're interested in moving a tap room into this
Space.
shopping center.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I don't have anything in your size right now. She's like, but I'll put you on the list. And we're like, okay. So we were waiting and waiting. And it happened much quicker than we expected. We got a call that somebody that was in this spot was ready to move to a smaller location. They didn't need this much space. And so she's like, would you guys like to come check it out? We're like, sure. And so the rest is history. We were like, okay.
So you took your knowledge as an employee, a manager in another business, the same type, and you were like, okay, you know what to look for as far as space goes and seats and taps, that sort of thing? Or is that something that you learn since you've been open?
That's definitely learn on the fly. Being a manager, basically all I did was, well, not all I did, but I ordered beer and just kept things running in that sense. I had no idea what business ownership looked like.
Right.
Oh, you're laughing. We got to come back to that.
But one thing to know, we hadn't worked together. When did we leave? In 2006?
I started
2005.
2005.
So we hadn't worked together since 2005. We went to different pharmaceutical companies, and then we did it so we would have more job security because ours had a big layoff.
Yes.
And we both got scared, but we both were lucky. So we decided to go to two different companies.
Okay.
And believe it or not, we both lost our jobs within a month of each other at two different companies.
Yeah.
She ended up going back in the pharmaceutical industry, and I'm like, I am so done with this. It didn't suit me. I'm a very transparent person, and I will tell you if something will not work, and bosses don't want to hear that. So being my own boss is kind of important in that sense.
I'm glad. That's a great thing to know about yourself. You've got this definite boundary. It's like, I'm going to tell you how it is. And if you're kind of chafe about that, maybe I'm not the right employee for this organization.
Exactly. And, not to throw too much information out there, but I ended up getting cancer. I got breast cancer, and Christy looked at me and she said, and at the time I was just doing volunteer work. She looked at me, she goes, you will never have to work again. Just you do the work now and get through this.
Yeah.
And little did I realize that while I was getting through it, I was learning more and more about beer, and that's when I ended up getting into the industry.
Right. There's a certification. What's it called?
I am a certified Cicerone.
Cicerone.
Yes, it's
Sounds
through.
very Italian.
It does, doesn't it? And it's through cicerone.org. There's several different ways you can get certified with your beer knowledge and actually have the paperwork to show that you have that. It gives you credibility.
Right. And no, that's like, how many folks get certified? I'm just curious.
The certified's there's 4 levels. I think maybe 6 a year become master cicerones. I am definitely not there. The next level down is advanced cicerone, which I am actively studying for. And by that, I'm drinking a lot of beer and trying to keep my knowledge fresh, and still learning more things, because there's all these hot varieties and so on. So the certified cicerone, which I am, it's a 5-hour test, and there's a tasting, and it's a lot. I studied from the time I became a certified beer server, which Christy is, until I became a certified cicerone. I studied for 5 years.
Wow.
Trying everything I get my hands on, and research was half the fun, but and during that time, it was a lot, and keeping it fresh in your mind, because it just builds each level.
And I find it interesting too that women tend to overachieve with credibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where there are, like, the boss or the other company, did they have their certification, or did they just right?
The reason I wanted to have the paperwork and the credibility behind me is because one of the reasons of opening this place was to be an educational tap room, which again sounds almost like an oxymoron. People tend to drink and get dumber, and we're trying to drink and get people not necessarily smarter, but to use the right words when they order at other places so they can get what they want to drink.
Right.
So we're constantly, like, when people come in and say, I don't want it hoppy. Well, you don't want it bitter.
What do you want? Yeah, what is
Right.
it you're really after?
So it's all about the adjectives. We always joke about that.
Unpack your adjectives.
Yeah, good old schoolhouse rock.
So I want to circle back around to this idea that, you've got, two incomes coming in, then you have this very scary. I mean, Piper and I went through the same thing where I was diagnosed, and we were already in business, and together, and this is our only income, and it's very scary because you hear cancer and you don't know. I mean, they'll tell you, oh, you'll be fine, but you don't know.
It's still the big C.
Yeah, you don't know, and our business was not set up for me to be gone, and we lost a lot of income. That was hard, and so in that situation, where were you? Well, you hadn't started the business yet, but you were still. I mean, there's still a two-income household not having.
Well, I wasn't working when I was volunteering. When,
Okay.
Well,
Right.
I was volunteering when I got diagnosed, and Christy was working, thank God, with great insurance. And then, after the chemo and the radiation and the surgery, I started working for the other Taproom. And again, at that point, I was using beer as a way to not think about the cancer. I was reading and studying. I didn't know I was going to go into the beer industry at that point.
It was just a big passion that you were discovering.
It was.
Well, that's amazing. That's
And
amazing.
so we've talked about this, how cancer kind of pushed me a little bit more towards beer than you would think cancer would. And then, not to skip ahead, but we were open a year and 2 months when I got diagnosed with cancer again.
Oh, geez.
And just like you were saying with your business, you weren't anticipating doing it without her. Imagine me being the face of this business, and now I don't even have a sense of taste anymore. And
that was hard. Right.
It's really hard.
It's really hard because you kind of, it just gradually sneaks up. And it's like, what's happening? And you're like trying to feed, like I was eating incredibly hot food and people around me like, what's going on? And I imagine that, that's you can't do half the job.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and again, thank God I was a Cicerone, because I could read the descriptions, know what that beer was going to taste like,
Right.
and what hops were in it, how it would present itself, because everything tasted like pennies that sat in the bottom of a pool for 5 years. Everything, without fail.
I had the same.
Great memories, right?
Yeah. It's like, I can't taste anything.
Yeah. So, and again,
So how did you get through that with the business here? Did you already have systems? You had like employees going on here that were taken care of?
we had 2 employees besides myself. But we hired wisely. They were outrageously responsible. We had one that is, when I ended up hospitalized with sepsis, we called her and she's like, I'm there, and just took over. We also had a friend of ours that became a certified beer server without us asking. So if I needed to be away, she could step behind the bar.
That's beautiful. I'm a big crybaby. I'll cry.
We also had another friend that became a certified beer server. So just so he had the credentials to help me clean my draft lines, because I do all that myself. And for a full year, he was here every day that I was here. Wouldn't let me pick up furniture, because I had a port and everything.
Yes,
So
yes.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that
The
is
support.
like, you feel so blessed to have that sort of support in your life.
Well, this community got me through the second cancer. So cancer drove me to beer, and the beer community got me through the second cancer.
That's beautiful.
It's full
Cheers
circle.
to that.
Oh, yes.
Cheers
Cheers
to
to you
that.
as well.
Yes,
Yes.
Us stubborn survivors.
that's right. I recognize how hard it is, and part of it is, you're still here, and like for me in my business, what that pushed me to standardize some things to allow me to be gone. I don't know if that happened for you.
Oh, it did. All of a sudden, there were lists, and because with me being here before the second cancer, I was here probably
6 days a week.
6 days a week. I stayed on top of the cleaning, the ordering, everything, and then it became like, okay, every other week the bathrooms would get thoroughly cleaned, deep cleaned, and all these lists came about, and I think they're better. It makes training so much easier.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely, right? It makes it standardized. It makes it easy to get people in and
Right.
make sure that the next person gets the same list.
Yep.
And
Right.
all that.
Well, and Christy became a certified beer server because she was going with well, I'm an owner. I'll just be a bar back whenever you need me.
Right.
And finally she's like, you know what? I'm going to step up. And her friendliness behind the bar, we are such total opposites in that sense. I'm the snarky kind of smart aleck, and she's just warm and fuzzy. And it's you can't have two of the same. It never works.
So tell me a little bit about what your role is with the CNC Endeavors, which is the umbrella for the Beertooth.
Beertooth, yep.
Taproom.
So I am actually behind the scenes. I'm the one that helps with social media, all the communications. So I'm the chief communications officer. So if we get people ask for events, I help coordinate getting events in. I try to keep up, like I said, with social media. If we get something from North Carolina Department of Labor or whatever, I'll forward it on to our CPA, that kind of stuff. So I was very behind the scenes. I wasn't
administrative,
doing, HR, all that kind of stuff. And she ran the tap room, so I was hesitant to step up because I was a little nervous about, I don't know the beers as well as her. I can't taste the things that she does because she's absolutely amazing with all that. So I can also read a description and let people know how something tastes. So as I spent more time behind the bar, I became more confident and I wasn't so nervous. And I'm actually glad I did it because it's a lot of fun, interacting with people.
Yeah, having fun at your business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you really have to have that passion, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about how you discovered each other's strengths. Now, you'd been working together and you'd been together for a while before you actually opened this.
Right.
And I mean, it seems pretty obvious that if you've gone and done the certification, that we know the Beertooth in the family is going to be Christa.
Yes. Most definitely.
So how did you decide, like, you're going to stay in the background? Just your personalities, or it's just like, or have you come across something you're doing that you're like, I'm not going to keep the books, but you're keeping the books?
Right. I think because I have the 9 to 5 during the day, it kind of made the most sense. She's the face of Beertooth. It made more sense. She wanted to run the tap room. I have a 9 to 5, so that's what I did. And I was like, well, I can still do behind the scenes stuff to help out, so you don't have to do everything. So that's kind of how it came about. I got to stay behind, and she got to step forward.
Did you have a background in small business? Somebody in your family? No, it's on the fly. Okay.
No, that was also on the fly.
Have you gone to, like, the Small Business Administration or some of the Women's Center or anything to get training or anything?
That would be really smart, but not at all.
No.
So, there are resources out there that are great training for that sort of thing.
Okay.
And,
resources. I can't remember when we had the business downtown.
Our office was downtown,
and we were just like figuring out. I had worked for a bunch of small businesses, so I kind of knew some stuff. And I understood billing and invoicing and insurance and all that we needed. But we didn't formally do anything until somebody discovered that we were down the street, and they were.
Just want to make sure we're recording.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. That would be important. So they came down the street and they were like, wait, you guys are here. How long have you been here? And we're like, 2 years, I think, at that point. We've been down the street from them. And they were like, well, we have an institute and we're having a course in 2 weeks. You're going to it.
Yeah, they're like,
and we were like, we can't leave the office. We are the office. And they were like, you can't afford not to. We're going to pay for everything. You're going to go to this course. It's going to be for 4 days. And we're going to even put up your hotel room. You'll just have to come up with your dinner. And they were like, and
we learned a lot about,
oh my
like,
God,
setting up systems. Like, are you an owner or are you an operator? It's like, does the business own you or do you own the business?
And they were like, does somebody know how to unlock the front door
if you're not there?
And we're like,
well,
nobody has a key but us.
So there are lots of things that allowed us, to get insight into, and having those resources were great. Now, we were busy doing the work.
Right.
And so you get really good at doing the work, right? But eventually, you know, I know that the specter of cancer is always around, and it might not be you getting sick. And I bless, but don't want
Don't
that to
think
happen to
about it.
anybody, right? Don't want that to happen to either one of us. But, you know, part of it is, you know, there are things that you can do to free up. And I know that you want to do the tasting because who doesn't enjoy beer?
Right.
I live to talk about beer, taste beer, think beer all the time.
There you go.
It's that bad.
That's good. You know, Piper was worked for Nancy Olson at the Quail.
Books at Quail Corners.
It was books. It was books at Quail Corners, and it moved. But she was one of the first employees.
I was the first employee.
She was the first
There
employee,
you go.
and so she watched Nancy develop, you know, that model and go through that.
And Jim had her husband had a job. He worked for the state agricultural department, but he would come at night and he would be like, "Oh, I enjoy this." He'd be like, you know, "Nancy, go home, go out with your
Right.
friends," and then
That sounds familiar.
and
right,
So
exactly.
so I was thinking. Yeah.
So, like, how
similar.
do you guys come together and make business decisions? Do you do this formally, or is it like you're brushing your teeth and you're like, I have an idea?
Well, I will tell you, I am at my most creative at about 3:00 in the morning. So there was a lot of times where I'd be like, "Wake up! I have this idea." She'd be like, "Are you kidding?" But yeah, yes, some of my better ideas. But usually, like when it comes to the beer and everything like that, Christy is not involved in that. But when it comes to hiring and events, we like to talk it out, like how it's going to go. I mean, our big events here are our fundraisers that we do. And to me, I get very anxious about it because I want to make as much money for the charities that we're supporting as possible. And a lot of times I need her to kind of go, okay, well, these are what we need to get this going. So we do complement each other really well in that sense. But the funny thing is both of us are introverts. Now, I'm a very outgoing introvert, but when I'm peopled out, she'll step in because she'll see it in my face. I'm like, yep, you can't do it anymore. And she'll know when I need downtime. But again, 20 years together, she recognizes that.
Yeah. So right now there's no real mechanism to like get away and do like a business retreat and talk about, hey, what are we going to do? So what are your plans for 5 years out?
Still be here.
Yes. Right now, I mean, since we opened our doors in the middle of COVID, we got the keys to this place the day before the shutdown. The day before. And I'm not going to say that we're optimists, but we were both like, well, that'll give our builders time to do the build out and everything will come in line and we'll be fine. Well, nothing came in line and everything quadrupled in cost. And so all the money that we had ready to go to get us through the 3 years of growing pains, right?
Right. You spent right away.
Yes. So
how's business now?
we know how to tread water very well. This January was, I will tell you, a lot of lost sleep on my part.
So you're seeing a cycle then, and you're like, you got a seasonal cycle that kind of goes like
Right.
this. Okay.
And we did some good events in January that I think we had just talking to the beer reps, I know that we had a better January than most places. It was not profitable, but it was still a decent January. We actually did an event with Mad Popper 2 doors down. We did a beer and popcorn pairing, and people like to come out for that.
That's a nice partnership for that.
It is.
It
Great
feels
organization,
very
yeah.
neighborhoody.
Yeah, so, right now we've exhausted all those funds, everything that we had stored up, and we did make the 3-year mark. However, that first year was a COVID year, so does it really count? Right.
It's a different sort of accounting.
We couldn't grow our customer base.
Right.
That first year. So, right now I think that 4-year mark is going to be will be the former 3-year mark. So
Are you feeling comfortable? Are you feeling optimistic?
I'm a realist.
Yeah,
I
so
know
I get
what
you.
I need to do.
You've got your numbers. You've got your
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
performance indicators.
Exactly. Oh,
So
all those.
what are you looking for? I mean, do you have like your number of, like, my imagination is like how many drinks sold or how many to-go things,
Right.
that
Well,
sort of thing.
it is something like, honestly, what I look at right now is how many more pints do I need to sell a week to break even?
Right.
And sometimes just I don't like to be a pushy salesperson, but if I'm watching someone drink the same beer have 3 of them, I'm gonna make sure we're asking, would you like a crowler to take home with you? Things like that. So we're trying to make sure we upsell when we can, but not become that
Right. Yeah, no, I mean,
used car salesman kind of
sure, right.
mentality.
So what other things are like in the marketing here? I know that like first years, marketing and being consistent is really a big thing, right? And so how are you finding your marketing KPIs?
So we're still gaining followers. I worked last night and there were 6 brand new couples that came in. They're like, we had no idea you were here. So we're still getting that
Wow.
because
yeah.
we're kind of tucked in this little corner.
Right.
So we are definitely growing our customer base. And a lot of them are just finding us from word of mouth. It's not social media. So we have a lot of really good regulars that talk about us. They'll bring their friends in, and their friends bring friends in. So
We want to talk about you.
yeah.
We want to, because part of it is like our community, meaning just Durham, but LGBTQ community, we have a lot invested in creating businesses that are sustainable and that can help us, do good works, right? And so I want to help y'all get more folks in the door if we can, and looking at your marketing, what other things are you trying to cultivate to get the word out?
So we started with Facebook and Instagram, like most people. We have a email, but we had a couple friends who were like, "Hey, what do you think about TikTok?" And I'm like, "I don't, because I have no idea." So we have a regular who's like, "Would you mind if I created a Beertooth TikTok account?" And we're like, "As long as you understand the kinds of things you need to post." She's like, "Oh yeah," she's like, I will, if you have any concerns about what I post, let me know. So we have a regular that does TikTok for us. She comes in if we do an event, if we have trivia, she posts stuff about it. And we have another friend that just created a Discord account for Beertooth. So a way to reach
Ask
people that
questions.
we may not have reached through regular social media, because not everybody has Instagram and Facebook. So we're trying to find new ways to find people, and we're not the ones coming up with the ideas. Thank goodness we have such great customers that want to help us succeed. So they're like, "Hey, what can I do?" Yeah,
The raving
yeah.
fans want
So
you to
we are
succeed.
very dependent, it seems, because we don't have time to research new technology and what's going, what's trending with people. And
Well, not to call us old, but
I
we're
know.
Gen
I
Xers.
like-
We're like, what? I don't know
Not
what
doing
this is.
Snapchat, not
Yeah.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
So
everyone's like, "You should do YouTube," and we're like, "Yeah, we'll get there eventually."
yeah, I think, so thinking about TikTok and the way you love to go on about beer and tasting and that sort of thing, I think, those are fantastic for TikTok or YouTube, where you just go, okay, this one is this, XYZ, that's it, in and out, super fast.
That was the suggestion. I'm like, but I have the knowledge, but I don't have that personality. I
Oh,
don't
it doesn't
think.
matter.
Oh, okay.
It's about the knowledge.
Maybe I'll give it a go then.
It's about the knowledge. And like, if you can just be deep into the knowledge, people will grab onto that, because it's like, because part of the shtick, the thing will be, she loves it, but look at the way she's presented it. It's like gold, right?
Yeah.
And people just want to like see how authentic it is. And that,
Yeah.
you're going to light up when you talk about your beer.
You do.
Yeah, that's true.
You do.
We
Most definitely do.
one of the things we do monthly is we call it flight school, where we sit down. I curate a flight. I don't work that day, so we have the students come in and we drink a flight and we talk about what the topic is. So last month, February was Pucker Up Buttercup. We talked about sours, how they're made, and it was a lot of fun. And when we started it, I think my first flight school, we had 3 people, and now we're maxing out at 12 every
We don't want the
time we do it.
classes too big,
Right.
so they
Yeah.
can't be more. You can't have that one-on-one interaction. So
Yeah.
we were super excited. We had 12.
There's a suggestion that we start doing it twice a month, you know, do a new topic, then go back and do an old topic that people missed. And I'm like, okay, you know.
Well,
ooh.
that's more of your time.
Yeah, well,
That's more
but
of
twist
your
my
time.
arm. I have to talk about
beer.
talk and drink because, you know, when you work here, you can't drink. So
Drinking.
it's nice having that time.
So who would you say are your raving fans or your ideal folks here that come through the door that you want to get more of in here? Certain age group, certain. I mean, I know beer is
say,
for
like-
universal.
Well, honestly, everybody. Anybody that, from the novice, I've never had craft beer before, to people that want to sit down and talk about the hops in the beer. Because, you know, that whole range, you know, I like the newcomers when you can, like, start showing them, like, you don't like, you know, people that come in, it's like, I'm gonna have a cider, I'm not a beer drinker, and then you have them try something and they drink like 3 glasses of it, and I'm like, well, you can't say that anymore. But I love it. I love the conversion because like my mom, she was 70.
Beer church.
Yes.
Beer church. I love it.
Well, you know, you worship where you worship. But my mom used to say, I am the only person of pure German descent. I'm 72 and I hate beer. Well, we finally sat down and I kept trying to give her something lighter and lighter because, you know, that tastes like beer and ooh, that tastes like beer. And finally, I'm like, what do you love? Like, you'll never turn down. She's like, chocolate ice cream. I'm like, let's try a chocolate milk stout. And now the woman's drinking bourbon barrel aged Russian Imperial stouts at 14.9%. And we also know not to give her more than 2, but, you know.
Otherwise, it's sleepy.
But again, you know, if I can convert a 72-year-old that's determined not to drink a beer, I hope that I can do that for everybody, because not being a beer drinker isn't a good thing, because there's so many great styles and you can pair it with so many different, you know, dishes. I mean, and you can cellar it and pop open a 6-year-old bottle of a great stout, and it's amazing.
We did this segment with a chef, and we were at Highwire, and he bought some dark beers so that he could cook with it. He was making barbecue, and he talked about what the ingredients were and how he picked the beer to use in the ingredients to make what it was. So I thought that was amazing. And I was like, that sounds so amazing. Because I do like to drink or cook with beer every once in a while. So that's fun.
You can't make chili without a porter. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
And Guinness stew is
Guinness.
Guinness,
Yeah.
or Guinness pie. Yeah.
So what would you advise people that are thinking about going into business together if they're partners, what would you say to them?
I would say do a little more research, talk to people a little more. Don't just say, hey, we could do this, and then just jump in. I think we probably could have done a little more prep work and not hit some speed bumps that we have.
Like
if we
what?
had a little more knowledge.
Interesting.
Like, you think you know what your bills are going to be, and you think you have the calculations figured out, and then you're like, that costs more than I expected. Or we didn't expect beer prices to go up, so we're like, what do we do now? Do we raise our prices? Do we not raise our? So it was and setting KPIs. That's another thing. We were like, we had no idea. We're like, we're just going to sell beer. It'll be great. And then you're like, oh, wait, I didn't think about how many beers I had to actually sell, because you have new expenses that come in that you didn't think about. You need more than just beer to pour beer.
Right.
So
Right.
Well, there's also, you know, business laws are constantly changing. We are very fortunate. A member of our run club is a business lawyer, and he'll be like, hey, did you submit this form? It's a new thing. And we're like, wait, what?
Right. What?
You know, but he's awesome and keeps us at least updated on, you know, things we didn't realize. You know, we talked earlier before this that you trust your general contractor to do certain things. I didn't realize that I needed to be like the co-project manager and be here and double checking things, because coming back, you know, still right now, once in a while I'll look at something and be like, what was that? You know, and you have to be ready to not only be the owner or the beer orderer, you have to be the facility person, like, because I get calls, the TV won't turn on.
It's not flushing.
Yeah.
The TV won't turn on.
Or
The
10 o'clock at night,
the water's out.
the bathroom's locked. Well, is there someone in there? You know, it's like
Crazy question.
Or watching the cooler temperature go up over the course of a day and just going, oh no,
Oh dear.
But you know, I mean, there's all these things, and I used to always love going to the mailbox personally. It's like, oh, let's see what's there, because that was before I was an adult and bills came. Now going to the business mailbox, I'm just like opening the door. You know?
We have a different experience. That's where our checks come in.
Yeah, I get excited
yeah, no.
because I'm like, oh, maybe something will be there.
No,
checks
it's
will
like
come in.
you see like
Department of Revenue. I don't want to see that.
Department of Revenue,
that's
Department of
true.
Labor, and it's, you know, like, oh, here comes a bill. Let's see. And then I have to remember how to write a check in in QuickBooks. I'm like, because now everything's done with electronic transfer. Every once in a while, they're like, you got send a check to. I'm like, okay.
Learn how to do that
Yeah,
again
I
this
gotta
month.
learn QuickBooks again.
So the question I always ask when couples are in business together is, so how do you deal with dinner or meals? Like, do you eat out a lot? Do you-
We get takeout a lot. So if she's working in the morning and I'm coming in to close, I'll bring something so that we can eat together at the tap room before she goes home. So we have some overlap. If I'm not coming in the tap room, I'll try to cook at home. She'll come home and we'll actually have a home cooked meal. But yeah, we have to do a lot more eating out than we would like to.
Right. And have you delegated in any of the tasks at home that you were taking care of before, like, you know, laundry, lawn, anything like that?
We've now learned how to like just get our clothes out of the clean clothes basket because folding them is no longer an option.
That is the dresser now.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. No, typically I do the cooking, and we share the responsibilities with our dogs. Like, she'll go home, make sure they're fed.
You made it sound like we shared cooking responsibility with
The
dogs.
dogs.
Sorry, no,
So
we
what's
share
phone making
cooking
I
was wondering where that was
responsibilities.
going.
We
Okay.
share cooking responsibilities, and we also split up taking care of the dogs.
The dogs
Yeah,
come
because-
here, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have a special needs dog that has to be fed by hand 3 times a day. So that is one of those things. And he doesn't mind eating here, and we just have to keep him calm. But yeah. But our little dog is a little loud sometimes, so trying to balance that out.
So like that balance there of that, like you said, home life balance is a tricky thing for us. We've asked all the couples. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch any of the other ones talk about how, you know, there's supposed to be a boundary, and you know, boundaries are a big thing.
Oh, right.
Boundaries are a big thing to sort of set up. You know, after X, we're not going to talk. We're going to just be a couple, which is
No business talk after.
after some time or whatever time. It's
We
hard.
don't have a problem with that. I mean, honestly, usually it comes
20
in
years
spurts.
in.
Well, it comes in spurts. Like we'll be drinking coffee on like a Sunday morning, and it's like just blah, blah, blah about Beertooth, and then it's done. I mean, and again, we've gotten our roles down enough that if we have an event coming up, I'll ask her opinion on things. I'll ask her to make something in Canva or whatever, poster-wise. But, you know, I try to let her know well in advance what events are coming, so we're not doing the last-minute thing, because that puts too much stress on us to do it that way.
Gotcha.
I'm coming here because we had some tech issues with Piper and I's camera. So we're going to let the audio roll with the other shot, and you want to see us asking the questions. And
Income and revenue wise, what are you shooting for the Beertooth?
Like dollar amount?
Like wishes or fishes, right? You're gonna cast that big net. What are you looking for this to start making?
Honestly, if we could just clear 15 a month, 15,000 a month, we could break even. I never got into this business thinking we were going to get rich or sell it.
But not go broke.
Exactly. Or go belly up. I mean, again, I'm doing this because I love it, and also I need the job security of not firing myself because of something I said. So I want a place to come where I can be comfortable and do what I do best. And that's what I just don't want to lose this place. But you can only mark up beer so much, and I refuse to gouge our customers
Yeah,
to survive.
That's not a good business practice necessarily, but
No, and also we want to pay our employees well enough.
are there beer associations? I'm not really sure how that works, like taproom associations or conferences and stuff like that. I'm just curious.
Well, the North Carolina Craft Brewers Guild has now opened up a retail side of it. It used to only be like the
For the
production
brewers.
side. Yes. And honestly, Christy and I went to one because when we started thinking about making this business, we were thinking about doing a brewery too, which thank God we did not because of COVID.
Yeah.
But we got to meet people in the industry. That's where we met our beer lawyer who keeps us legal in every way. That's where we met our accountants. Those are things we knew we couldn't cover ourselves.
Right.
We just didn't have the know-how.
Right.
So we admitted where we had major weaknesses, brought and hired who we needed to. But there is the Craft Brewers Guild, and now that they're doing the retail portion, it's interesting. There's Pink Boots Association, and that is women in the craft beverage industry. So cideries, meaderies, breweries, tap rooms. We're women that, obviously this was a very male-dominated industry, even though beer brewing used to be solely for the alewives. But
Yes. And witches.
yes, but the thing is now there is a professional organization of women, and it's all about encouraging and inspiring one another, and it's
And you
very
belong to that, and you go through that. That is
do.
so fantastic that you found that. and
Yes.
You're part of that.
a
So.
really good group of people. The funny thing is I always felt like an outsider because they were all in the brewing industry and I was in retail. But we've made some tremendous friends. We actually hang out with some of them at hockey games. I mean, it's just a really, really good industry and organization to be a part of.
That's awesome. I think that's a really great up note to end today. Much success. I am rooting for you, and I will do what I can to promote Beertooth.
Yes. We
And let
appreciate
people
that.
know that you're here and open for cheers.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
What a
it.
pleasure.
I had fun.
But I want to say thank you to the folks, Christy and Christa over at Beertooth at CNC Endeavors, because they were a delight for hosting us in their space, and can't wait to have them on again, maybe in about a year.
Key Peaked Interest, KPI, Entrepreneurial, Insight, LGBTQ editions. Hey
Hi,
y'all,
y'all.
I'm Piper.
I'm Monique. As a woman and minority-owned business, we're interested in talking to couples that look like us, lesbian couples in a service business. That's why this podcast exists. I've been looking for a queer business podcast that showcased LGBTQ and BIPOC owners. Found a few in each category, but none that mixed the two, so we created Key Peaked Interest Podcast. This show is looking to honestly connect with other successful LGBTQ couples in business.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. We're open to nominations, introductions, and suggestions for guests.
Hit us up in the comments, and thanks for watching and listening.
Thanks.
We may not be the dream team, but working with Velasquez Media will feel dreamy. We'll pamper you and make you feel like Mimi during a Christmas special taping.
Who's Mimi?
Mariah Carey?
Well, maybe not exactly. We will have professional hair, makeup, and a fashion stylist on set to make sure you look glamorous and put together and still look like you.
We want to put our 45 plus years to work for you and your next course. Book a discovery call so we can help you stay on schedule and confidently create content. Once you book a date, we'll communicate with you a lot. We will coordinate with you or your staff to get the details needed to make the production a success. We want your vision and your content to reflect your brand. We are invested in making sure that you have every digital document you need while you are recording. We'll handle the technology for recording and delivering final content, and we'll do it by end of day, so no waiting or wondering where to find files or if they got posted or lost.
We want to work with women identified, LGBTQ, and BIPOC coaches and business owners. We want to be your justice warrior sidekicks as you level up.
Book a discovery call and find out how to work with Velasquez Media and get a concierge content creation momentum experience.